are listening to the most comprehensive paranormal archive on the internet.
Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm continuing the series review, New Lands by Charles Fort. As always, you can find everything at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com, and that includes links to all the episodes, social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show, and friends of the show, including Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel, and is the co-host of this show on Saturdays whenever she can make it, and others as well. Also, a few things to note here before I get started with this reading again of this book. There will be things that Charles Fort says that you and or I will not agree with. Also, there will be things he talks about as being mysterious that may not be so mysterious anymore. That will happen when you are reading a book from about 100 years ago. And the last, of course, is that I apologize in advance for mispronouncing any names of people and or places, as words are hard, and especially when not all the words in this book are in English. So, but that takes care of all that. Let me get back to the reading here. I've been had to adjust some settings here, so hopefully this will go a little bit smoother than the last episode did. And continuing on, Professor Otto Struve, I'm not sure, Struve, was one of the highest of astronomic authorities, and the faithful attribute triumphs to him. So I guess we're still continuing with this astronomy angle. Upon March 19th, 1873, Professor Struve announced that he had discovered a companion to the star Procyon. That was an interesting observation, but the mere observation was not the triumph. Sometime before, Professor Auwers, as credulous, if not jocular, as Newton and Leverrier and Adams, had computed the orbit of a hypothetic companion of Procyon's. Upon a chart of the stars, he had drawn a circle around Procyon. This orbit was calculated in gravitational terms, and a general theme of ours is that all such calculations are only ideal and relate no more to stars and planets or anything else than do the spotless theories of uplifters to events that occur as spots in the one wide daub of existence. Specifically, we wish to discredit this, in quotation marks, triumph of Struve's and ours, but in general, we continue our expression that all use of the calculus of celestial mechanics are false applications, and that the subject is for aesthetic enjoyment only, and has no place in the science of astronomy. If anybody can think that there is such a science. So after great labor, or after considerable enjoyment, Auwers drew a circle around Procyon and announced that that was the orbit of a companion star, exactly at the point in the circle where it should be. Upon March 19th, 1873, Struve saw the point of light, which, it may be accepted, sooner or later, someone would see. According to Agnes Clerk, in parentheses, System of Stars, page 173, close parentheses, over and over, Struve watched the point of light and convinced himself that it moved as it should move, exactly in the calculated orbit. In Reminiscences of an Astronomer, page 138, Professor Newcomb tells the story. Hang on 1 second here. I gotta check on something, make sure everything's working. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh, never mind. Okay, everything looks like it's good. All right. Sorry about that. Had to make sure everything was still going. Okay. According to him, an American astronomer then did more than confirm Struve's observations. He not only saw, but exactly measured the supposed companion. A defect was found between the lenses of Struve's telescope. It was found that this telescope showed a similar companion about 10 feet, I guess, from every large star. I don't know if that's a different sign than I think it is, but anyway. It was found that the more, let's see here. Oh, actually, I think it'll be inches, but anyway. That the more confirmatory determinations by the American astronomer had been upon a long, well-known star, that's in quotation marks, from, and then in parentheses, Newcomb. Every astronomic triumph is a bright light accompanied by an imbecility, which may for a while make it variable with diminishments, and then be unnoticed. Priestcrafts are not merely tyrannies, they're necessities. There must be more reassuring ways of telling the story. The good priest J.E. Gore, in parentheses, Studies in Astronomy, page 104, close parentheses, tells it safely. Not a thing except that, in the year 1873, a companion of Procyon's was, by Struve, in quotation marks, strongly suspected, close quotation marks. Positive assurances of the sciences. They are islands of seeming stability in a cosmic jelly. We shall eclipse the story of Algol with some modern disclosures. In all minds not convinced that earnest and devoted falsifiers are holding back development, the story, if remembered at all, will soon renew its fictitious luster. We are centers of tremors in a quaking black jelly. A bright and shining delusion. Looks like beaconed security. Sir Robert Ball, in The Story of the Heavens, says that the period in which Algol blinks his magnitudes is 2 days, 20 hours, 48 minutes, and 55 seconds. He gives the details of Professor Vogel's calculations upon a speck of light and an invisibility. It is a godlike command that out of the variations of light shall come the diameters of faint appearances, and the distance and velocity of the unseeable, that the diameter of the point of light is 1,054,000 miles, and that the diameter of the imperceptibility is 825,000 miles, and that their centers are 3,220,000 miles apart. orbital velocity, if I could not combine words, of Algol 26 miles a second, and the orbital velocity of the companion 55 miles a second. Should be stated 26.3 miles and 55.4 miles a second. Proctor, Old and New Astronomy, page 773. We come to a classic imposition like this, and at first we feel helpless. We are told that this thing is so. It is as if we were modes of motion and must go on, but are obstructed by an absolute bar of ultimate steel shining in our way with an infinite polish. But all appearances are illusions. No one with a microscope doubts this. That's a fascinating point there. No one who has gone specially from ordinary beliefs into minuter examination of any subject doubts this as to his own specific experience. So then, broadly, that all appearances are illusions, and that by this recognition we shall dissipate resistances, monsters, dragons, oppressors, that we shall meet in our pilgrimage. This bar-like calculation is itself a mode of motion. The static cannot absolutely resist the dynamic, because in the act of resisting, it becomes itself proportionately the dynamic. We learn that modifications rusted into the steel of our oppositions. Did I read that? Yeah, okay. The period of Algol, which Vogel carried out to a minute's 55th second, a minute's 55th second, maybe. Let's see here, lost my spot. Was, after all, so incompetently determined that the whole imposition was nullified. Astronomical Journal 11-113, that according to Chandler, Algol and his companion do not revolve around each other merely, but revolve together around some second imperceptibility regularly. Something in French, October 1910. That M. Mora has shown that in Algol's variations there were irregularities that neither Vogel nor Chandler had accounted for. The companion of Sirius looms up to our recognition that the story must be nonsense, or worse than nonsense, or that two light comedies will now disappear behind something darker. The story of the companion of Sirius is that Professor Auers, having observed, or in his mania for a pencil and something to scribble upon, having supposed he had observed motions of the star Sirius, had deduced the existence of a companion, and had inevitably calculated its orbit. Early in the year 1862, Alvin Clark Jr., turned his new telescope upon Sirius, and there, precisely where, according to our calculations, it should be, saw the companion. The story is told by Proctor, writing 30 years later. The finding of the companion in the, quotation marks, precise position of the calculations, close quotations, Proctor's statement that in the 30 years following, the companion had, in quotation marks, conformed fairly well with the calculated orbit, close quotation marks. According to the Annual Record of Science and Industry, 1876-18, the companion, in half the time mentioned by Proctor, had not moved in the calculated orbit. In the Astronomical Register, 15-186, there are two diagrams by Flammarion. One is the orbit of the companion as computed by ours. The other is the orbit according to a mean of many observations. They do not conform fairly well. They do not conform at all. I am now temporarily accepting that Flammarion and the other observing astronomers are right, and that the writers like Proctor, who do not say that they made observations of their own, are wrong, though I have data for thinking that there is no such companion star. When Clark turned his telescope upon Sirius, the companion was found exactly where ours said it would be found. According to Flammarion and other astronomers, had he looked earlier or later, it would not have been in this position. Then in the name of the one calculus that astronomers seem never to have heard of, by what circumstances could that star have been precisely where it should be when looked for January 31st, 1862, if upon all other occasions it would not be where it should be? Astronomical Register 1-94. A representation of Sirius, but with 6 small stars around him. An account by Dr. Dawes of observations by Goldsmith upon the, quotation marks, companion, close quotation marks, and 5 other small stars near Sirius. Dr. Dawes' accusation or opinion is that it scarcely seems possible that some of the other stars were not seen by Clark. If Alvin Clark saw 6 stars at various distances from Sirius and picked out the one that was at the required distance, as if that were the only one, he dignifies our serials with a touch of something other than comedy. For Goldsmith's own announcement, see Monthly Notices, Royal Astronomical Society, 23-181 and 243. And we are on to another chapter here. Smugness and falseness, and sequences of readjusting fatalities. And yet, so great is the hypnotic power of astronomical science that it can outlive its mortal blows by the simple process of forgetting them, and in general, simply by denying that it can make mistakes. Upon page 245, Old and New Astronomy, Richard Proctor says, in quotation marks, "The ideas of astronomers in these questions of distance have not changed, and in the present position of astronomy, based, in such respects, on absolute demonstration, they cannot change," close quotation marks. Let's see. Okay. Sounds that have roared in the sky and their vibrations have shaken down villages. If these be the voices of development, commanding that opinions shall change, we shall learn what will become of the proctors and their, in quotation marks, absolute demonstrations, close quotation marks. Lights that have appeared in the sky, that they are gleams upon the armament of marching organization, quotation marks. There can be only one explanation of meteors, close quotation marks. I think it is that they are shining spear points of slayers of dogmas. I point to the sky over a little town in Perthshire, Scotland. There may be a new San Salvador. It may be a new Plymouth Rock. I point to the crater Aristarchus of the moon. There, for more than a century, a lighthouse may have been signaling. Whether out of profound meditations or farrago and bewilderment, I point directly or miscellaneously, and if only a few of and if only a few of a multitude of data be accepted, unformulable perturbations rack an absolute sureness, and the coils of our little horizons relax their constrictions. Let's see. Just checking on. I think we'll stop there, though, because we have less than a minute left. Because the next paragraph is pretty short, but yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. He's talking a bit there about some of the other things he's mentioned in the Book of the Damned, and I believe in the beginning of this one as well, but at least in the Book of the Damned, talking about these strange points of light seen all over the place, in all kinds of places. And yeah, so that's where we'll leave it for today, and get back to this next time. Hopefully y'all are enjoying this series, this whole master series, or longer series of shows on Fort's works. I know I'm enjoying it overall. And we're in the middle of the second book. Well, near the beginning of the second book. So we still have a long way to go. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.